and welcome to episode 10 of The Sober Connection with me, Abi King. Today we have a guest interview, and I am pretty overwhelmed at my guest today. I have known this person for 30 years. As somebody that I met when I was in my teens. I used to go around to his house and hang out with his brother. They used to share a bedroom, and me and his brother and all of our mates used to sit and do acid together. And my guest was the younger brother. So we've known each other for a very, very long time. He has gone through his own addiction story, and he actually went through rehab. And so I thought I would get him on today as a guest just to talk about his experience with rehab and where he's at now and how bright his future is looking. So I'm absolutely overwhelmed and delighted to introduce you guys to my good friend Mike Parker. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Abby, thank you so much for having me on. I
That's
appreciate
all
it.
good. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Life's good. Life's good. Yeah. I'm counting up all the good days, and now there's about 1,680 of them or something.
Wow, that's
So
amazing. Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, life's good. Thank you.
So good. So we've known each other a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah, but back when I think you would have been, I was about 15, 16. You would have been about what, 11 or 12?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, 11, 12. Just starting my teens. Yeah. So it
Yeah,
was a pretty
yeah.
cool time, to be honest.
It was pretty messy from my memories, but yeah, I
Yeah.
used to love coming around to your house and hanging out with your mum and dad and you and
Brilliant.
your brother and your twin sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously back then when we had didn't have a care in the world, did you ever think that you'd end up sitting here talking to me on a podcast about recovery?
No, no, and the weird thing is, because we got brought up around that environment and drugs and drinking was just the norm. I wasn't tempted by anything at that point until I was a lot older. So a lot of my friends at sort of 13, 14 were going like, "People are doing pills. What's that all about?" And I had no interest. I was around it all the time, so it was just normal for me.
Yeah.
And when I first started drinking properly as an adult. I was just enjoying it every day. I never thought it would ever become a problem.
Yeah.
Um, but it quickly did, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us, so we'll obviously touch on the main part of your story in a bit, but can you just talk us through that? So like obviously when I was a teenager, we used to get up to all sorts, me and your brother and all of our mates and taking acid and smoking weed and hash and then going off to happy hardcore raves and taking
Yeah.
E's and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
how tell me about your story and where it kind of like started and you just said it progressed pretty quickly. So yeah, if you can just fill
Yeah.
us in on that background.
Yeah, no problem. So, I mean, I think I had my first drink of alcohol at 11, like around a friend's house when the parents had gone away, just out the drinking cabinet as normal. But it was just a one-off, and it's one of those things. It's like, wow, okay, and then you do it when you can, but you can't very often because the parents are always around. And then around 14, 15, we all started hanging around the bus station. So the drinking became like an every weekend thing. Mum would go and get our alcohol for us at 14, 15, and we'd all get drunk in the house, then go to the bus station. And in those days, it was just fun. It was never, I never, it was just something to enjoy with the rest of the lads. Um, and then I hit 18, so I started doing the raves like you lot did. Because I'd been around you lot when you were going to the raves and that, I'd always had the bug to go. So we all went and we started doing loads of pills. Wasn't really drinking that much. Drink before you go out, but then you do all the pills,
Mm.
and then that kind of stopped. And I was always chasing getting off my head. Then I noticed that when I was off my head, I wasn't thinking about certain things that had happened to me. So I needed that again, that distraction, and I found that in alcohol. And I remember the first time I ever thought, wow, okay, I can't go a day without drinking was 19, believe it or not. I realised
Yeah,
that early
right.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'd go to work, and on the way home, the first thing I'd do was go and get some ciders or beers. And so, but back in those days, it was only sort of three or four. I mean, it's still a lot, but it was nothing major.
Yeah.
Um, but from then on, it was every single day for the next 20 years, to be honest. I mean, it was fun at first because you're young and your problems aren't so severe. And I had some good times on it. There's no doubt about it. But then, sort of very quickly, I would say into my mid to late 20s, I started drinking in isolation. I drink on my own,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be around anyone anymore because I didn't want to have to explain myself to anybody, and the only person I had to explain myself to was myself, and I just said, "Yeah, it's a good idea. Get drunk and cry to the adverts. It's amazing. It'll be brilliant." And yeah, so and that went on for 15 years then until I've collapsed.
Yeah.
It kind of it was every single day and quite heavily by a normal person's standards. But then for the last sort of 5 years, we're talking upwards of 3 bottles of red wine a day.
Yeah. Right.
At one point, it got up to five bottles of red wine a day, and at that point, I was just drinking just to stop the shakes.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't vote. I was dry retching and stuff. I couldn't do anything without the alcohol. So I'd get up, go to the shop, neck a bottle of red wine in about 5 minutes, cry, stop shaking, fall asleep, wake up, feel anxious, go to the shop, do that again.
Do it
And
on
that
repeat.
yeah, that was my life. It's
Yeah.
horrendous,
Yeah. Were you
horrendous.
working at that point, Mikey, or
Yeah, so
holding down a job?
yeah, I've been at the same job since I was 17. I'm still there now. And they've been really supportive. So they've seen it all. They've seen a young kid with hair looking like a Backstreet Boys to a drug addict and an alcoholic, and they've kind of watched it all. And they don't know about the drugs and stuff, but they knew about the alcohol.
Yeah.
And I somehow winged it, you know. I'd just say I was having. I mean, I have suffered with my mental health. So when I was like feeling anxious or withdrawing and stuff, they kind of just sympathised with me, but I don't think they realised the severity of what was going on at the time. So I was going to work, but oh my God, 8 hours when all you can think about is drink.
Yeah.
It's the longest 8 hours of your life. So it was only up until about the last sort of year or so where I started taking time off them. It started to get
Yeah.
pretty bad. Um, and in the end, I couldn't even get out of bed. I didn't even phone them or anything. I don't know what happened actually. I think one of my family must have phoned them, but I didn't even make any contact with him because I just thought, well, to be honest, Ab, I thought I was just going to die. I didn't need to explain anything because I wasn't waking up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how bad it got, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awful.
So yeah, yeah. So I remember um your sister. So you, I just to explain to the listeners, I was really good friends with your brother Scott, who's a few years older than you, a year older than me, I think. And then there was you and Tony, your sister, your twin sister, right? And
Yeah.
I remember being over here in New Zealand, and I've always been in touch with you guys. And you know, I remember your mum and dad really fondly. And I just remember Tony posting on Facebook, and she was just saying, we're really worried about Mike. His drinking's getting pretty out of control, and we want to send him to rehab, but we just can't afford it at all. And just asking for help. And I just remember being really shocked by that. But I think I knew as well that what was going on, but just the fact that it got to a point where your sister was reaching out and trying to get help from anybody that could help. And I think I sent some money over, and you know, it wouldn't have been very much, but it, you know, it would have contributed to
So
getting you to
grateful.
rehab. So obviously rehab was not your idea. So how did that pan out? What's the story with that?
It's such a hazy period now. I knew I'd get upset.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's
So
therapy,
brave.
isn't it? It's so nice to talk about it. I didn't know what was going on at that point. I was on my bed. I don't think I got out of my pajamas for weeks. I was just eating to survive rather than eating food. I was just waking up and I was in and out of consciousness all the time. And one day I woke up and my cousin, my son's mum, and a really close friend was stood at the end of my bed. And I was like, "What's going on?" And my cousin says, "Mike, we've got to get you help. You've got to go somewhere, man. You're going to go away in the next few days. Don't ask any questions. Just get your bag, and we're going to get you the help that you deserve and that you need." And then the next thing I know, my brother had turned up to drive me down to Bournemouth. I didn't have a clue what was going on. I knew nothing. I didn't pack it. I didn't pack the right clothes. I didn't. I was. I didn't. It's difficult to talk about because when I do, I remember how scared I was.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what was going on, and you think, how did I get in this mess? You know, what the fuck? And I can't control it. I can't get out of this.
Yeah.
Um, So I didn't know all that was going on in the background, you know, with Tony and the GoFundMe or whatever. They just turned up and says, "You're getting help. You're going tomorrow. Let's get this sorted." So it was a bit. I'm still trying to piece it all together now. What really happened, and I have to be really careful with the questions that I ask, because if I get an answer that I wasn't prepared to hear, it really sets off the emotions, and
Yeah.
I feel sorry for that man. You know, I feel really sorry for him. He didn't have a fucking clue what to do, so I never cry.
Making me cry now too.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you, so you, there's a photo.
Yes.
And I think that got posted as well. And I remember when I saw that photo, I just remember I still see it now, and it just brings up so many emotions because,
Yeah.
knowing you, we always joke about when we first met. I thought you were a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that was the fact that I was maybe on acid or something, and
Yeah.
my reality was a bit skewed. But we always kind of joke about that. I've known you since you were 11 or 12, and then I saw that photo of you, and you just looked so old and ill, and it
Yeah.
just really, really shocked me. It still shocks me when I see it now. But now, obviously,
Yeah.
we've got you back, and we know what you look like now, and it's incredible. So the transformation, but
Thank you.
that you said that photo was taken a couple of days before you went to rehab.
That it was around that period. So when they was at the end of my bed trying to help me, I think they were on phone to the doctor at the time. The doctor said, "You need to go and get him a drink because he's going to it could kill him if he doesn't drink." And my friend said, she turned around and she put the camera in my face and she took the photo and she says, "You won't appreciate this now, Mike, but when you're in recovery and you're getting better, you'll look back on this photo and you'll be glad I took it because you can see how far you come."
Yeah,
So I didn't see that photo for a while, not until months after I came out of rehab. But it was just before rehab, and that was I weighed about 8 stone.
yeah,
I looked like I was on crack or something because all my skin was red and broken and sore.
yeah,
I was just a tired, withered old man.
yeah,
I keep that photo. I look at that photo
yeah,
every day, just to think like, is that where you want to be again? Um, I'm really glad she took that photo. To be honest with you, of all the tools that I've used to remain sober, looking at that photo is the most powerful one for me.
yeah. Of course, yeah, because you can
Because
see where you're at now.
yeah, I was 38 in that, and I look 10 years older than I am now at 43.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
definitely.
like,
It's definitely a powerful photo. Yeah,
yeah. I've had I've had groups, sober groups, ask if they can share the photo to show other people. And I was like, oh God, yeah, send it, show them. That's what you're gonna do if you don't sort it out, and this is what you
yeah,
can become.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a really important photo, but a difficult
yeah.
one to look at.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, it broke my heart. I mean, that was still so that was 2020, and yeah, I was sort of 2 years into my journey of trying to quit at that point, and
yeah,
I just remember seeing it, and it was a real shock for me, and again, like a pretty inspirational for me to see, where you were at 2 years later, sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so obviously your doctor had advised you to not just cold turkey it. That was going to be really not beneficial for you at all. Yeah,
yeah. That's right, and it's a difficult one because the doctors. I'm a man, so I don't go to the doctors unless I'm dying. But I was
yeah,
dying, and I went up to him, and my doctor looked at me and he said, "Mr. Parker, we're going to lose you. You're not going to make it through this." And that was a real shock. But the advice they give, and I still can't comprehend it because I'm an alcoholic. He says, if you're drinking 5 bottles, buy 5, but try and drink just 4.5. And I'm like, but I'm an alcoholic. There's drink
yeah,
there. Like if I buy 5 bottles, I'm drinking 5 bottles. I can't reduce it by a certain amount each day.
yeah,
It just didn't work for me. I couldn't reduce it. As much as I tried, and I would put it there, and I think, right. And then you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel awful, and there's still wine there, and it's gone. It's gone
yeah,
again. So
yeah,
it's really difficult to break that cycle. I don't know. It was rehab that broke it for me.
yeah,
That was the first time I hadn't drank. Um, in fact, it was the longest time I haven't drank since I was 11 years old. And I woke
yeah.
up
Right.
and I'd come out of, because it was COVID at the time, I'd come out of isolation. And I'd gone downstairs, and they don't normally let you have a phone in rehab, but because it was COVID and everything that was going on, they let you make a phone call. And I phoned my sister. I says, "Tony, it's Mike." And she cried. She said, I can't, I didn't know what you sounded like sober anymore. She forgot what I sounded like. Oh, horrible. So that was another kick up the arse to
Yeah.
stay sober.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to us about your experience of rehab. So how long were you, so you were down in Bournemouth?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how long were you
and
there for?
so the funding, it's incredibly expensive. It was a big, wonderful, like, country house with grounds and stuff, spiral staircases, bookshelves, all that kind of stuff. It's about 16 of us there, and the funding, which I believe was for around £8,000, only secured 4 weeks of rehab, because that's
Right.
how expensive it is. So I
Yeah.
did the 4 weeks, and when I was coming up to the end of it, I went to the director of the house, and I said, "How can I apply for funding to keep this treatment going, because it's working, and I'm sober, and I need to make sure I stay sober, because there's so much to live for." So I wrote to Bournemouth County Council a handwritten letter and said, "Look, this is my situation," and they funded me for another 2 weeks at the cost of £4,000,
Wow.
which was
Yeah.
really incredible. Nobody had ever done that before, and so they were really impressed. So I did 6 weeks in total,
Yeah.
which felt like a lifetime.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, it still wasn't enough. It needed to
Yeah.
be more. It needed to be three
Yeah.
times that. Well, they recommend 9 months, don't they? It takes 9 months for your brain to rewire into thinking that it doesn't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Basically, so the 6 weeks had served its purpose in breaking the cycle, but my mind still wants to drink, because I've still got mental health issues. The reason I drank is still there, and I haven't addressed that enough. So I needed longer, but the 6 weeks was life changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what would a typical day look like for you?
Well, it's very regimented.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to never spend time in jail, but there were people in there that had spent time in jail, and they said it's a jail like mentality. You get up, you've got to do all your chores, clean all your rooms. They come and inspect your rooms, and they mark it out of 10 in front of everyone. You have breakfast, you clean the house, and then you start with your the workshops, they call them, and these are things like relapse prevention and stuff like that, and sitting around and doing group activities, discussing why you drink, and all these sorts of things. It's therapy, basically. It's
Yeah.
therapy, and it's pretty full on, um, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Just
quite
learning
exhausting.
that discipline.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't appreciate it at the time, because you've got so much going on. Trying to Most of the time, we all turned up at rehab and we didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. We're thinking, how did it get here? What am I doing? What's going to happen when I leave? You just don't know what's going on.
Mm.
Um, so it's fair to say that you're pretty reluctant when you're first there. Like, you're sitting around in your circles, and I remember I said a few times, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. What am I doing? How, what do you want from me?" Um, and it starts to sink in, and you realise that everything they do is for a reason. They're trying to teach you discipline, which is going to keep you safe when you go back outside,
Yeah.
um, and opening up to strangers. They're not strangers in the end; they're like your family. But opening up is therapy. There's one-on-one therapy. We did yoga. We went on walks. They encouraged us to eat properly, because none of us ate properly for years.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very regimented lifestyle in there, and some days you're really pissed off about it, and then other days you realise that it's all with good intentions and for a reason.
Yeah.
And one of the things, you have to write a diary every day, and if you don't write a diary, it's a strike, and if you get 3 strikes, you're out. You've really got to
Oh
stick to the
wow.
yeah, you've got to
Yeah.
stick to the rules. That they're there to help you, whether you don't want to do it, but as a child you don't want to do things, but your parents tell you to do it because it's for the best. It's exactly the same. So you got to write a diary about your day. That's all it is. And you're so reluctant. So it's good day at first. That's all it was. Good day or bad day. Within about 3 weeks, I'm writing 3 pages. So this happened, and I'm grateful for this. I think I could do this better. I think I got annoyed, and I need to be more patient. And just getting it from there to there helps. You don't even
Yeah.
need a solution. You just need to get it off your chest.
Yeah.
So you get taught a lot of lessons that aren't just going to keep you sober, but they're actually very useful just in life.
Just in general life. Yeah.
Just in life, because
Yeah.
you know my upbringing, it wasn't normal. I wasn't advised. I didn't get any careers advice or solid life advice. I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know how to be responsible. So I needed a parent-like figure or a parent-like structure, which happened to be rehab, to teach me what I need to do in life to be normal. Uh,
Mm.
and it worked. It works.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, was it just people with alcohol issues, or was it drugs as
No,
well?
everything. So I was in there with
Everything.
heroin addicts and crackheads, alcoholics, and I thought, because you know about the sexual abuse and everything with me, what I went through with sexual abuse. I thought I'd been through some pretty harsh stuff, and then I went into rehab, and people opened up about what they'd been through in life, and my life was a dream compared to theirs. And every single person in there, bar none, had had a broken childhood and some sexual abuse in their history.
Right.
So you realise how common that is.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're sitting around. I mean, I had the audacity when I turned up to rehab. I realised that I was with heroin addicts and crackheads. I had the audacity to think, well, at least I'm not that bad. We're all the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you put a needle in your arm or a glass in your mouth. You're
Yeah.
you're trying to get away from something, and you
Yeah.
realise that when you're in rehab, you realise that's what the problem is. So you need to
Yeah.
get to the root cause of it. So it changes your whole mindset to focusing on what's the issue, what am I running from?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one had ever told me to do that.
What's caused you to reach for the bottle in the first place, or
Yeah,
the needle or whatever it is? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's not just the drink is the is almost the remedy, isn't it, that you're doing to mask what is actually going on in deep
yeah,
inside. And I don't think you realize that when you're in the thick of addiction. You just think that, well, you just don't know. I talked to another guest a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought it was going to be as easy as just putting down the bottle and just
yeah.
stopping drinking, and
Mm.
it's not by any
No,
stretch. I mean, I've uncovered all sorts of stuff from, again, you know my story with
yeah,
with my ex-boyfriend, and the 4 years that I spent getting beaten up, and that
yeah,
that was my coping mechanism was alcohol. So it,
yes,
it it all stems from something that's happened in the past that you're
yeah.
trying to forget about. Yeah. So
Absolutely, yeah. And what you went through was horrendous, and having to relocate and all that kind of stuff, and it's almost incomprehensible. How do you process all of that and deal
mm,
with it in a satisfactory way? I don't know how you do that. And well, obviously we didn't, and you didn't, because you ended up drinking. There's so much going on in here when you're going through something like what you've been through. How do you process that in a normal, satisfactory way? I don't know how you get all that information in without the need to suppress it somehow.
yeah, exactly,
When you
exactly. And
hear, so when
especially at
you,
the age that we were, your
yeah,
your situation and mine, 17 to 21 for me, and it's just such formative years that, if that's your coping mechanism at the age of 18, then when your brain is still trying to mature, then
yeah,
it stands to reason that that's going to always be your coping mechanism, because it's what you get
yeah,
used to, isn't it? So
exactly, yeah, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden, as an adult, you know that you have a lot of issues to address, and the way to address them isn't with any substances, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Like, what am I supposed? It's all this. What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I really struggled with that. I really struggled. I think a lot of the time as well when you talk about addiction, I don't think a lot of people realise that's what's going on behind closed doors. They think you've just beat your substance abuse,
Yeah.
and that's it. So you just got to stay away from the substance abuse, but it goes so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And how do you the battles? So my battles on a daily basis, and they still happen. Obviously I'm a lot more stable. I'm really happy where I am in life. I have a sense of peace and balance. But I still have bad days. But my bad days now don't involve me thinking I need to have a drink. They just involve self-deprecation in here. I blame myself for everything. You know, I need to understand why I do that. And when I'm feeling that way, I need to sit there with those feelings like an adult
Yeah.
and deal with it. And I can't
Yeah.
reach for anything to help me to do that unless it's the gym,
Yeah.
which is a good coping mechanism. You know, you just
Yeah.
get sweaty and it really helps.
Yeah. Those
But
natural endorphins as opposed to the fake stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
100%.
natural drug. Yeah, and I recommend it to to everybody. I've gone from 8 stone to 12 stone, but quite lean. You know, and I'm
Yeah.
43. You know, so I feel really proud of that. But the bad days you've got to sit there and cope cope with it like a grown up.
Yeah.
It's not easy. No, so
No,
that's
it's
what a bad
definitely.
day involves.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it's so much more when you do get through a bad day and you process it and you just, either tell those feelings to fuck off or you deal with them and, move on, then that's a win, right? So, yeah.
Massive win, massive win.
Yeah.
And when I was sort of going through rehab and stuff, and you're having a bad day, they say just remember tomorrow's a new day. Now, when you're in that situation in rehab, you just think it's cliche after cliche, and they've learned all this stuff through books and that. Um, but you put it into practice without realizing, and everything they said was right. You know, I sit here now anxious to the point where it makes me feel sick. I can't cope with this. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I fall asleep and I wake up and I think, what was I worried about? What was that all about? Like I just get up, have a cup of coffee, go to the gym, and I'm all right again.
Yeah.
So it's true. Tomorrow is a new day. It's okay to have these feelings. You don't have to run from them. It's okay to feel upset and anxious. And tomorrow you go again and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
good.
when you so when you finished your 6 weeks, what were you how did you feel at the end of the 6 weeks? So funding's run out, you've done your 6 weeks, you're on your own, out you go, out that door, out the country hotel, country house, wasn't quite a hotel, but you're out that front door and you're on your own. What did that feel like? And what were those first few days out of rehab like for you?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. For the first time in my adult life, when I was in rehab, I felt like someone was taking care of me, like really good care of me, like I was being mothered by the system,
Yeah.
and they were embracing me and encouraging me. And then you leave, and that's gone, and you're like, holy shit, I've got to do this on my own, because at
Yeah.
some point there was so much encouragement. I didn't. The whole thing really made me realise that there's people out there that really genuinely care for me, and I didn't think that. I was isolated for so long, I couldn't see that. So I realised that people did care for me. But at some point, all the shouting about my success in recovery stops and everybody just gets on with their life. And I'm just sat there thinking, shit, there's no more encouragement like that. I got to get on with it like everybody else. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. So I got involved in a relationship, obviously seeking that encouragement.
Yeah.
Um, and it was the worst possible thing I could have done because I stopped focusing on me then.
Yeah.
So I needed to when I first come out, I needed to just do what I'm doing now, basically, get my routine sorted, um, get back to work, start living a normal life, preparing my food, watching documentaries or something, just living a normal life away from the chaos. But I didn't do that really. I jumped out of the frying pan into the fire, essentially. Um, so the sobriety after rehab only lasted 5 months, and then I relapsed.
Right. Because you
Um,
had a relationship with somebody that you met on the program, did you? On the rehab?
no,
Or
but
somebody had been through it, or
yeah, so she was in recovery herself, but she hadn't
yeah.
gone through the steps that I'd done. She just, she was, her life was chaotic and falling apart, and it had happened around the same time. But she didn't take any of the proactive steps in getting better. She just stopped, and I kind of thought, well, I can help because I'm in the same situation. It's the worst thing I ever did. honestly, it was. You need to, when you come out of something like rehab, you need to sit down and put everything they've taught you into practice. And I just didn't. Yeah, I think a lot of people in addiction will tell you the same thing. You get complacent because you think, I've done it. I've done 6 weeks in rehab. I don't drink
Yeah.
anymore. First time I've been sober in 11 years. No, 20 years, sorry. I've done it. I've nailed it. So you take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's what I did. So, and it didn't end well. And I'm pretty sure 99.9% of cases end the same way when you come out and you get cocky and you think you've nailed it. And yeah, it just fell apart really quick, really quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So you relapsed after 5 months.
Yeah, in devastating fashion. In fact, I've done more damage in the relapse. The relapse lasted 3 weeks. I
Yeah.
did. So I went from drinking nothing to one bottle, then 2 bottles a day. And by the second week, I was drinking 3, 4 bottles a day after nothing for 5 months. Um, I did more damage to my body in that time than I did the 20 years leading up to rehab.
Wow.
It was catastrophic on me. It was horrendous. I got rushed into hospital 3 times in an ambulance in 1 week. On the second occasion, I woke up on the floor of a police cell and they released me and I'd been charged with GBH because in hospital I got involved in a fight with another alcoholic and I headbutted him. So I was charged with GBH. So I was looking at 10 years in jail
Shit.
for my first
Yeah.
crime. I can't begin to describe the feeling of waking up on that prison cell floor. I didn't know where I was. They were checking up on me every 20 minutes because they thought I was going to try and hang myself. That's what they told me. I was confused. I didn't have a clue what was going on. So it all fell apart pretty quick, to be honest, Ab.
Pretty
Um,
quickly. Yeah.
yeah, and it was fucking devastating. I was in the end. I knew it was killing me again, and I walked into hospital at 1 o'clock in the morning, the QE in Birmingham. I says, "I'm gonna die, man. You got." Oh, I knew this would get me upset. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I was so weak, and I'd been arrested, and I thought I was going to lose my job, and I thought I was going to go to jail, and I thought I'd let everybody down because all that hard work I'd done in rehab. Um, I said, "You need to help me. You need to help me." And I just sat there shaking for about 6 hours in the waiting room, and eventually they admitted me and detoxed me, and I spent a week in hospital trying to get better. Uh, that was the worst week of my life in the hospital. I felt so hopeless.
Yeah.
It was really difficult because I was on a ward with other people trying to come off drugs and stuff. And there was a guy opposite me. He was so young. His dad was there, he was about 70, but this guy was younger than me. He didn't eat a single bit of food for days. He never even acknowledged his father. His father was naively saying, "Oh, he's such a good boy, he'll come out of this." But I could see he wasn't eating on purpose. He didn't want help. He was committing suicide in front of me. He didn't. I went and looked at him. Do you know what I saw? Me? I gotta get out of this. I was just lying there looking at the ceiling for a week, thinking, "Fuck." It was horrible. It was horrible. I knew that would get me upset, but it was the most scared I'd ever been in my life. I didn't know what to do anymore. I tried getting sober and I failed. And I failed to the point where I was probably going to jail and lose my job, and I wasn't going to see my beautiful son. I didn't know where to go. That was the hardest period of my life.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't even have anywhere to live. Like, I didn't know how I was going to get around this. And then all the lessons kicked in from rehab. It hit me. You can't take your foot off the gas. They're teaching you all these things for a reason. I thought, fuck. And I woke up. It was so my last drink was November the 1st, 2020. I come out of hospital sort of the 10th, I think, just before my birthday. And I thought, right, it's my birthday. Make my birthday count. And then tomorrow we'll go again and try and make tomorrow count. And then that was when I started just taking one day at a time, just trying to
Yeah.
piece everything back together. But it was hard. It was really hard. Oh, it
Yeah.
brings it all back talking about it. I think the anxiety and the how scared I was. I didn't even have anywhere to go. Couldn't even go and see my mum and dad because they'd gone. My brother and my
Yeah.
sister moved away. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. No support network there. Yeah.
Not in the way that I wanted. There's obviously people from afar supporting and stuff, but sometimes you just want to cuddle.
Yeah.
You just want your mum to put your arms around you and say, you know what, Mike, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that, so I wasn't all right, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. Yeah, so it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, looking past that, and you just said that you're now over 1,600 days sober,
Yes,
which is amazing. I'm so proud of you. It's
thank you
amazing.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did
So
that
your
happen?
life now, obviously you've got Jacob as your son.
Yeah,
How old's he now?
he's 9. He turned
Nine.
9 in
Oh shit,
April.
is he nine? Shit, he's a
Yeah,
cutie though, eh?
cute.
Um, yeah, and so what does your life look like now? So 1,600 days sober. What does your life look like? Obviously, you spend a lot of time with Jacob and you're at the gym a
Yes,
lot.
yes,
And I hear, well, I've heard it. You've had a few of your own tunes played on BBC radio,
yes, yes.
which was
What?
incredible.
Yeah.
So talk us through that. That's I mean, it's obviously something to be proud and excited about.
Yeah, so it's the one thing I would anybody listening to this who's trying to get into sobriety and recovery, the thing I'd like to drill home the most to people is when you're drinking or using or whatever it is you're doing, you're suppressing so much potential in you, whether that's talent or personality or anything. There's so much more of you locked inside of you that will never come out when you're drinking or using. And that's never been more clear than with myself. Because I'd play guitar. Well, you remember when my mum bought me my first guitar? You tried to teach me a few things. Body count.
Did I? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah. It's such a long
Enter
time ago.
Sandman, maybe
Yeah, that's it.
Metallica.
Yeah, yeah. I can still play it. And it's so I've had the ability to be able to make music and write music and stuff, but it was all locked inside. So when I'd first come out of hospital, I've started to take one day at a time. I've gone back to work and I was just trying to build up a really solid routine. Go to bed the same time every night, get up the
Yeah,
same time in the morning, have a
yeah,
coffee, make your food, iron your clothes. And it started with just the basics. Then as the weeks rolled by, I could introduce something new to help me. So then I went started going back to the gym. I was very weak, but I thought, right, just get that blood going. And I introduced that into my cycle, into my routine. And then slowly I would introduce new things, and all these new things, there were constructive ways to spend my day. So I started looking into the history of ancient Egypt. But I wasn't just looking into it, I was really reading into it and thinking, my God, they did that 3,000 years ago. And they were drinking wine 3,000 years ago. It's their fault. We've got them to blame for this. And I started noticing that my mind had a curiosity about everything that I didn't know anything about. So I jumped feet first into educating myself on everything. And it was the more and more I did that, and the more I fed myself information, the more I was distracted from thinking that I needed a drink.
yeah,
So I just started doing that more and more, as much as I possibly could. And then I picked my guitar back up, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm sober now. God, I'm better than I thought I was. And then I got music software, and then I put the two together and sent a tune off, and they said, "Do you want to interview on BBC Radio?" And I was like, "What? What's going on?" All that potential was there, but it was just hidden away under the cloud of drink. So it's just gone from strength to strength, to be honest. I'm there and I'm celebrating a year sober. In fact, I celebrated my first year of sobriety 10 days before my 40th birthday. So when they say life begins at 40, it really
it
did
really
begin
did.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm thinking this must be a sign. This must be a sign. And then all of a sudden, I'm making the yearly Facebook post about my sobriety, and I'm thinking, it's years now. I'm celebrating in years. How did that happen? 3 years, 4 years, and it's just been routine. It's been routine. All the things that you thought were boring when you was younger they're amazing. I love it. I
Yeah.
love ironing. I love ironing all my clothes on a Sunday and getting all my lunch ready for the week at work. Honestly, my shirts have never been so ironed in their life. It's brilliant. So I'm just doing all these normal things. Like my relationship with my son is incredible. I read something. What was it? Sobriety is when your children can look at you and trust what they see.
Yeah.
That hit hard. That hit me really hard. Always act as if your child is watching you even when they're not there.
Yeah.
Well, I started doing that, and so when I would see Jacob, I was just so grateful for the time that we have together, and it just gone from strength to strength. And now we've got a little best friend who's looking. He thinks I'm amazing, and he's clever enough to know that there was a problem with alcohol, but he never saw all the horrible side of it.
Yeah.
Um, so even he's like, every now and then I show him the photo because he says, "Why were you so poorly?" And he's like, I'm proud of you, Daddy. I'm proud of you, Daddy. So that's why we do it. So my life is structured, it's disciplined, I'm focused. I write music. I've got a wonderful girlfriend now, a nurse, a Filipino nurse, and she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, never has, never will. So it's perfect for me. And we do things like go to Stonehenge or the Roman baths. And I'm doing all the geeky things I thought were geeky, which I now think are absolutely amazing. So I'm getting my high from all the natural things in life.
Yeah.
So it's dramatically different, my life is now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do see your Instagram stories, and I think you went to some tulip fields, and it's
Yeah,
all very wholesome, and it's a
yeah,
Sunday, and you go for strolls, and it's just so
yeah.
it's. But Mike, honestly, it's so beautiful to see that
Thank you.
now, and the joy, like you can just see in your photos that like you're just
Yeah.
genuinely so happy. Like you're getting into photography now too, eh? And like just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Another talent I realised that was locked away, and I love a good photo, and I love being able to look at it and the memories it
Hang on, I
triggers
just
when
gotta
you.
let my dog out. Hold on 2 seconds. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
My dog needs a wee. But yeah, no, it's so like just yeah, seeing yeah, just wholesome weekends with you and your girlfriend, and it's
Yeah,
just yeah. I mean that photo is just so powerful, and if it's okay with you, I will try and get a copy of it from you just to
yeah,
share it
absolutely,
on
of
my page, just because
course,
talking about it, a lot of people will want to see what it what we're talking about, but
of course.
the transformation now is just oh, it's just beautiful. It's so cool. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, and I've got to say as well, since you know, we've been communicating a lot over these years, especially in recovery.
Yeah.
And you've been one of my biggest champions. You really have. And sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with the support that you've given me, and how important it is as well because you're in your own recovery journey. Um, you've been really instrumental in filling me with confidence and making me feel proud of myself. And I think one of the most important tools in recovery is confidence. Confidence in who you are, confidence in what you can achieve, and
Yeah.
the support that you've given me helps with that confidence. So you have no idea; it's invaluable, to be honest. So I'm grateful. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Honestly, I've always had a soft spot for you, even when I thought you were a 12-year-old girl. So, no. But oh, what was I going to say? I was going to say, do you think so? Obviously, yeah, unfortunately, your mum and dad have passed away, and
Yeah,
it's super sad. Scott is like Tony lives down on the south coast, and
that's
where's
right.
Scott
Yeah,
now? Scott's
in Stoke.
so he's further up
Yeah,
north. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So do you think like your relationships with them have strengthened since you got back into recovery? How are your relationships with those guys now?
yeah. Brilliant. It's I didn't realise how much when you're in it, you think you're the only person in it, but you're not just damaging your own life. You're hurting all those people around you that love you and care for you, and you don't
Yeah.
realise that at the time because you're so wrapped up in what you're going through.
Yeah, it's a very
I,
selfish situation, eh?
it's so selfish, yeah. And you think, well, they might be feeling bad, but how do you think I'm feeling? I think, yeah, but how do you think they're feeling? They love you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I put them through that for such a long time. when I've come out of it and I'm sober, I feel so guilty about that. And the one way I can say sorry, stay sober. That's the one way I apologise. So our relationship's amazing now. They're proud of me,
Yeah.
which is nice. It's nice when your siblings are proud of you. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of them. And it's like we're getting on with our lives. So we don't speak every day or anything like that. But when we do, we just pick up where we left off, and it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
relationships with everyone are just better in sobriety. The one, my relationship with my son's incredible. It's what I dreamed of when I wanted to be a father. With
Yeah.
all my work colleagues, my friends, my family, they've all strengthened. So it's good. It's nice to make Scott and Tony proud.
Yeah. And Mick and Anne would be so, well, I'm sure they're looking down on you together eating their lawn sausage sandwiches that we always used to eat around at
The
your
square, the
house.
square sausages.
Yeah, the square sausages. But I'm sure I mean, they'll be so proud of you as well, Mike. I mean, it's just, and everybody, all of your mates and stuff,
Yeah.
been an incredible journey, but it's been really cool to watch you and see where you're at now. It's definitely very, very inspiring. So yeah,
Thank you so
super
much.
proud.
Yeah, it's nice because I never thought sharing. 'Cause I've always been open with my emotions, and now because I've gone through recovery, I'm open about that as well. I don't want to hide anything. People need to see the ugly side of it to try and avoid it, or to know that there's a way out when you're in it. So sharing it was always something I was going to do. I just didn't realize it was going to have the impact that it has. Especially if it's helped people like yourself, Abby. You mean the world to me. And every time I make a post, there's someone in my inbox and say, "Look, I don't post on social media, but I'm going through it. You've inspired me to try and make change."
Yeah,
So that's the biggest blessing that's come from recovery, apart from obviously my health and stuff. Helping other people,
yeah,
and yourself with your podcast and all this kind of what you're sharing. Your journey's been absolutely incredible, and you've had to make these really life-changing decisions that you couldn't have made when you were drunk, and you've
mm.
made it, and you've stuck to your guns, and you've followed it through, and you've absolutely bossed it. And I'm seeing it from the other side. It's like, wow, well done, Ab. So, and we're all part of this community where we're sharing our victories and our hard days, and it helps. It's a family, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think yeah, I've talked before about how, back in the day when I first joined the sober community, it was all about getting the help from other people, that were 4 or 5 years down the track, and you sort of see them and you can't ever imagine ever getting to that point, and you really lean on all the advice that they're giving you. And now it's sort of kind of come full circle, and it's people are inspired by our stories, and it's just
Yeah,
when you hated looking at yourself in the I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I just absolutely hated what I saw. I was just so ashamed and so embarrassed, and just really, yeah, just struggling with myself as a person. And when people tell you that they're inspired by you and they've become sober because of something that they've read that you've written,
yeah,
it's just even if you're just helping one person,
yeah.
it's enough, eh? Yeah,
It's
yeah,
enough because you've changed someone's life, or you've helped
yeah,
change someone's life, or you've helped them change their own life.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
even just one person, you think, oh, it's fantastic. And because of that, my auntie said to me, she's so wonderful, my auntie, and so supportive. She says, sometimes these things happen for a reason. Maybe this was your calling. I was like, what do you mean? She says, well, you've always been blessed with the ability to articulate yourself well. I know you've been through something incredibly difficult and you still continue to articulate yourself well in a way that people can relate to it. So maybe this
yeah,
was your calling. Maybe you was meant to go through this to help people. And it's hard to not think any differently now. That's
yeah.
how I think. I think, well, yeah, maybe I'm here to show people you can come back from rock bottom and make a success of your life. And if that's the
Yeah.
case, then I wouldn't change a thing that I've been through, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It all brings you to the right here and now, though, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
even I was talking to somebody the other day, and even we were talking about my 4 years of with that boyfriend, and I wouldn't change it. I
no,
wouldn't, because it's brought me here. It's given me my 3 kids, and my
yeah,
life ended up happening in the way that it happened because of that situation. Because I ran
exactly.
away with the circus at
Yeah,
17, and all of that stuff happened. So it's yeah, I mean, you can sort of think, oh, it was a bit shit, but at the same time, look what I've got out of it, and it's
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's
wouldn't
character
change it.
building, isn't it? It's character building.
Absolutely, definitely character building.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I often think, would I be so all the levels of empathy and sympathy that I've got for people and understanding, I'm always prepared to lend them an ear. would I have adopted all these characteristics into my personality if I hadn't have been through the hard times? And I'm not sure I would. So it's hard to say that I would. I wish I didn't. This happened because it did, and this has happened.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
made you the person you are today.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
completely. So in many ways, I'm grateful for it. It's I wish it wasn't as difficult as it was at times, but
yeah,
everything good is difficult, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
So it's been a blessing with
Anything
that.
worth having is can be a struggle. Yeah, definitely,
Absolutely, yeah,
definitely.
absolutely, yeah. So it's we've been doing this podcast and I keep looking over it, and you have the biggest, brightest smile. It's so nice. You can see really, you're vibrant and happy, and you've released so much potential in yourself as a person since you've got sober. It's amazing to see, Abby.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Nice, isn't it?
I feel pretty proud and pretty lucky with my lot at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, you should,
But
you should.
can you just give us so we'll just kind of come towards the end. My dog's yelping. I'm gonna have to let her in
Mhm.
because I think it's pretty cold outside. But can you just maybe just talk about maybe two or three nuggets of wisdom that you would give somebody that was maybe in your shoes, that's listening, that kind of is potentially going to go into that rehab situation, or is just kind of in the depths of rock bottom despair at the
Yeah.
moment? What would you say? Three little nuggets of advice would be great.
As desperate as the situation that you're in is, you absolutely. You've run off. Where have you gone to let the dog in? Oh,
Sorry.
okay, yeah. No, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, as desperate as the situation is that you're in, um, you can pull it back. You can come back from rock bottom. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom. In fact, most of the time, you have to hit your version of rock bottom. And everybody's version's different, but that's there for a reason. That's there for you as a catalyst to kickstart the momentum in putting the ideas in place for a better life, and you deserve a better life. So no matter how bad you think it is, it can and will get better. And there's these cliche things, and at the risk of repeating what I've heard a lot, which I thought were cliche, you've got to just take one day at a time. It's okay
Yeah,
to have plans, in 10 years I want to have a mortgage or a family and children. It's okay to have them kind of plans in the back of your mind. But wake up on Tuesday and make Tuesday count. Don't worry about Wednesday. Don't worry what you're going to walk into work on a Wednesday. Get there at 9 at work, for example, or whatever it is, and just take 1 hour at a time until you finish, and then go again the next day. And then you realise that the good days build up, and then the good weeks build up, and the good months build up, and then you're in my position where 4.5 years have built up. So that you've just got to take one day at a time and implement a routine into your life.
yeah,
Even just basic ones to begin with. Set your alarm, even if your day's off work or whatever it is you're doing, for 7 o'clock, and just get up at 7 o'clock. Eventually, you find something to do. You're awake at the beginning of the day. You feel grateful for it, and then by 9 o'clock at our age, you're knackered and you want to go to sleep. Just get up early. It doesn't matter. Just you've got the whole day. Then you can do what you want. And the one thing I will be an ambassador for is fitness. I just cannot recommend it enough. I know you might think, oh, I don't want to, and I'm not strong. It doesn't matter. Get the blood running around your body. It will make you feel better. You feel more alive. And the more you feel like that, the less you think about what you need to suppress emotions that you can't cope with.
yeah.
So that's what I'd say. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I loved how when we first jumped on here just before we hit record, and you just said that I said, how you doing? How's your day? And obviously it's nighttime here, but it's the morning for you on Saturday morning. And you were just like, I'm just grateful to have woken up, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
like a few years ago, you might have gone to bed not knowing if you were going to wake up or not, eh? So
Yeah, yeah, and you must feel this as well. So, and I didn't get hangovers so much. It was the anxiety when I woke up the next day. And I
yeah.
don't think there'll ever be a morning now to the day I die where I don't wake up and feel grateful for not feeling like that. I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'll go and get a coffee then. This is nice, isn't it? This is brilliant.
Don't have to
It,
scroll through the messages, seeing who you
oh,
upset, seeing if you did anything. Yeah,
the fear.
it's the
Yeah, do you
best
know?
feeling.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so after I got sober, after I come out of hospital and stuff, I'd go to say family parties or whatever, and I'd get phantom guilt. So I'd wake up after the party and I think, oh no, what have I done? And then it'd take me half hour and I think, I haven't done anything. I drank lemonade. I didn't swear. I didn't swear. Oh, there was no inappropriate jokes. I didn't do anything, and now like I don't have that phantom guilt anymore. But it was really weird. I'd even get the phantom then when you smoke too much and you drank too much red wine and you have the dry mouth. I even got the phantom dry mouth a few times. And I was thinking, well, I don't miss this. It's disgusting, fucking hell. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, so waking up without any of that, and that's what I want for anybody in recovery. I want you to feel this, waking up
Yeah.
with no guilt, no headache, no anxiety. You will love that feeling so much, and I want that for you. So do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, Mike, it's been really cool. I'm sorry I made you
Absolute
cry a
pleasure.
few times. You made me cry too. So
No, thank you. It's
it's
therapy.
it's been very, very cool to for you, and I'm really, really grateful to you for being brave enough to share your story because I know
Thank
how
you.
hard it's been for you. And yeah, I think that the listeners will get a lot out of it,
I hope so.
a lot out of your story, and just just so proud of you, so proud of
Thank
you. And like
you.
I said,
And
your mum and dad will be so looking down on you
oh,
and just be so proud. So
thank you so much. And you should be proud of yourself. I watch your journey. Like, yeah, how old are you? 45, 46?
we don't need to talk about that.
No, but
A
in the
little bit
shape
older
of
than
your life,
you, it's fine.
but you're in the shape of your life. You're doing things like you. I can see what you're. I'm watching your video of what you're doing for fitness, and it's making me out of breath watching your video. So like, yeah, I think you fair play. Well done. You be proud of
Oh,
yourself.
thanks, Mike. All
No,
right. Well, thank you so much. I'll just finish off. So, yeah, I hope you listeners have enjoyed my chat with Mike P. Yeah, or I'll put all of his contact details, and maybe we'll even put up a link for his BBC Radio music so that you guys can have a listen to that because it is actually really beautiful. Yeah, it's really, really good. So,
thank you.
Mike, thank you so much for
Abby,
joining
thank you.
me. Next week we will have a tips and tricks, a nice little short episode just with me, and then the following week we have another amazing guest, all lined up to have a chat. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and as Mike said, one day at a time. Just take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, whatever you need to get through the day. Have an early night, get off to bed, and wake up tomorrow sober. So yeah, everybody take care, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you.